Hey everyone, it's Metagross Freak here with another Transformer review. A figure I've been wanting to do for a while actually, and that is Robots in Disguise Warrior Class Strong Arm, part of the Combiner Force line. There's been a couple other different Strong Arm figures, but comparatively, this figure is the most screen accurate. However, if you look at both the strong arm on the packaging here and the actual physical figure, you can tell there are some changes. For example, this version of Strong Arm doesn't have the dark blue pauldrons. She doesn't have the white striping on her breastplate. She doesn't have the white fins that she has up here on the helmet. So decal-wise, she is a little off, but compared to the other strong arms, she is the most accurate. I don't know why Robots in Disguise started doing this, but for some reason they changed the deluxe class figures, which they were using since, I believe, either the first Beast Wars or since Armada. And for some reason, starting with Robots in Disguise, started using different classifications. Like, for example, I have here The Last Knight, Optimus Prime. I'm going to be doing a video on him fairly soon, and it uses the Voyager class kind of classifications, and the figure's smaller than Voyager, the next size down, it says Deluxe. But for some reason, it just says Warrior class instead of Deluxe for just Robots in Disguise. So enough of my little rant about naming. Let's get into it, because I've been looking forward to doing a Strong Arm review for a while. All right, here's Strong Arm right out of the packaging. As you can see, she had to be mistransformed in packaging in order for her to fit. Basically, she has the entire hood of her car mode on her butt, and this is supposed to just fold up like that. There is actually a surprisingly good amount of detail. I know you probably can't see it all too well, but there's like a good amount of detailed molding on the inside of her, the back. And I'm not sure if this is supposed to fold. I think these are supposed to fold to the side, like kind of like pseudo wings. Strong Arm cannot fly in the TV show, but I guess that's how it's supposed to go. Her accessory is this kind of blaster pistol that vaguely resembles her crossbow. It doesn't have the little wings on the side, though it does have these like little hook-shaped things that vaguely cause it to vaguely resemble it. There are ports on both sides, so potentially it could combine with other weapons, and it comes with surprisingly a molded-on blast in kind of a teal or aqua blue. I both like it that this is molded on, and I think it's weird because this is all one solid piece of plastic. I think it's kind of cool that they have it as blaster fire showing, but I think it's also just kind of weird. Like, I think it should be a piece that you can attach on rather than just it comes standard issue. If you're familiar with the show, you'll know that Strong Arm's primary color scheme is white, like a dark, stereotypical police blue, as seen on the packaging, and black. This one comes in kind of more of a either like a dark azure. Kind of like a dark azure. She's supposed to have her Autobot symbol right here in this portion between the two blue breastplates, and that's normally supposed to be black. You could theoretically just fill that in with like a Sharpie or a marker or something, but her Autobot symbol is right here on her right breastplate, and that can be scanned for the game. But this is actually kind of a cute little figure. Articulation-wise, articulation in the arms is a little cut off because of how the backpack kibble is, but I have to figure out how to fold that up. If you fold it like that, she gets more articulation, but got ball joints in the shoulders. There's a swivel in the elbow as well as the elbow joint. The fists do not flip out; they're molded in. And not painted black. They should be painted black, so I'm a little disappointed that they aren't. That's not a big deal, though. Ball joint in the hip, swivel standard knee joint, and then a little bit of articulation, a little bit of a forward-backward swivel in the ankle, though I think that's pretty much just used for transformation. And kind of a tight ball joint on the head. It does look like there's supposed to be light piping on the head, but it's black light piping, so that's weird. And there's also painted over eyes. So I think maybe the intention was to use this mold for a future mold, or possibly it's a repaint of an older mold that had light piping, and they just painted this over because they didn't want to use the light piping feature in this figure. Based on the instructions, it looks like you're supposed to have it looks like it's hard to tell because the picture on the package makes it look like she's supposed to have her doors, essentially the doors to her roof, out like wings, but that makes her look really, really wide. And the picture on the section about the transformation isn't very clear, but it makes it look like they're supposed to be folded back like that, which is kind of more screen accurate, but either way it looks weird. So enough of my complaining about the actual figure. Let me transform it. There are plenty of YouTubers that transform things on screen, so I'm just going to transform this off screen to save some time, because we all know this is going to be like a 15-20 minute video anyway. That took a lot longer for me to transform than it should have. I'm really glad I did that off screen. Because it took me like 10 minutes to transform. Not because it was hard, but because I did things in the wrong order. Because I was like, oh, this is easy, I'll just transform this. And I ended up doing something in the wrong order, and it ended up taking like twice as much time to get the front part. It's a really easy transformation, but the arms... Let me try to get a view, an angle in here that you can see this. The arms are on a ball joint like I showed, but the shoulders have a swivel, and the idea is you're supposed to swivel the shoulder up, and then while you keep the shoulder swiveled up, you're supposed to rotate the ball joint down. And it took multiple tries to get that into place. There's also a lot of little tabs. The tabs aren't hard to connect to each other, but there's a lot of little tabs that if something is not in just the right place, it won't connect in, But it's like if this is the tab and this is the slide, it's like if it's if it's in the right place, it'll go pop in easily, super easily, like within like a 15th of a second. But if it's just a little bit off, it won't go in. And there's a lot of those, especially around the shoulders area, which is the front of the vehicle. The back side, the legs, and the roof, easy. Took me maybe 5 seconds tops. The front half, I struggled with, and I realized you're supposed to do the front half last. So that was my fault. Basically, you're supposed to do the legs, then the roof, then the arms. Or at least get the arms out of the way, fold the roof down, and then close up the front of the vehicle, because there's her hands. Her hands are right here. And I did legs, front of the vehicle, and then the roof. So that was my fault. I'd say if you're doing the transformation in the right order, it's actually pretty easy. And this is actually a really nice cruiser. I'm not super big on various different police cars and police-related vehicles, just because I was never really big on police and firefighters and ambulances and stuff growing up. For me, my big thing when I was growing up were trains. That was my big like ooh, ah, kind of vehicle, and trucks, like monster trucks. So, as a police cruiser, this is a very nice police cruiser. I love this. The gun doesn't show on the packaging the storage, but there is a port here on the top of the roof, so if you want, you can try to wiggle the gun in unsuccessfully. You can also, since there are the 2 pegs on the sides, you can try to plug it in that way, but it doesn't really go in all that well. If you wiggle it around a little bit, you can get it in there. I guess that could work. You can have it facing forward to be kind of just like a, I guess, a police turret. Like literal just police brutality, I guess. You could try to swivel it around to the backside to be like a little rocket thruster. Either way, this looks really silly. One really interesting thing is Strong Arm's chest plate flips down, which I find kind of unnecessary because if you flip it up, there's still plenty of clearance in the vehicle mode. So I think they basically just have it flip down to kind of fill in a little bit of the gap in the vehicle mode. What that does also do, though, is it exposes this empty peg hole, which you could use to store the gun. If you try to store the gun going up, it doesn't work. It just because it sticks out. You could try putting on its side, using the two side pegs, which is, I believe, what the intention was. And that folds flat enough with the gun going between there. It folds flat enough that it doesn't hamper the rolling at all. Wheel rolling is pretty dang great, though you do see basically the entire robot if you have it flipped up. The feet are kind of weird because the feet are a little stiff when you're supposed to flip them around. Because, hold on. Like I said before, there's the robot legs and the feet. They are a little stiff flipping it around, and I'm worried that that'll stress the joints, because naturally that's where they go, and you have to kind of force them down. They line up pretty well there, like that, but that puts them really close to the bottom of the wheel, and I'm kind of worried that that'll cause the toes to get dinged up. You can push it a little bit further in, like that, but that looks stupid. So be on the lookout if you start to see the toes get scuffed up or something, because they don't fold flush very well. But overall, I'd say this is a phenomenal figure. I'm a big fan of Strong Arm. She is my favorite character in Transformers Robots in Disguise. Surprisingly, I'm really not a fan of Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime in Robots in Disguise, based on, I'll be honest, I've only seen the first 2 seasons. I need to catch up and watch season 3, but based on the first 2 seasons, Optimus is kind of a dick. He doesn't really respect Bumblebee's authority that much, even though he's the one who put him in charge. He is kind of a Blood Knight, just rushing into battle whenever he feels like it. And basically, for the entire first half of Season 2, he's just injured the entire time. Because usually Optimus Prime is a total badass, and instead he's just kind of an old man. He's an old man with a sword. But I love Strong Arm. Strong Arm is awesome. She's very much that, like, buddy cop kind of character, the one who, like, plays too close to the rules. As you may know, I'm a fan of Ben 10. She's basically Rook. She's the cop who's kind of new on the streets, very by the book, but is basically a master at police training and has a cool weapon. And I really liked Rook Blanco, so it would make sense that I like Strong Arm. Anyway, this was my review for Transformers Robots in Disguise Warrior Class Strong Arm. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I've been Metagross Freak. See you around.